We're out every day from 1 until 4 o'clock. After 4 o'clock, John Kobylt Show on demand. That's the podcast. And, we got the Moist line up twice today at 3:20 and 3:50 because it is Friday. And we were talking yesterday. We had Spencer Pratt on for the whole 3 o'clock hour. You should listen to that. He's the reality star who is the loudest, most effective activist for the Palisades residents after the fire. It was quite entertaining and quite informative. So that's on the podcast. And you could also watch a video of much of the interview on YouTube at John Kobylt Show. We have our own channel now. So today's atrocity, and this is utterly predictable, Newsom had ordered an investigation into the Palisades Fire. And so the investigation from the Newsom administration says, well, the 117 million gallons that were missing from the reservoir in the Palisades, it didn't matter. You imagine that? So, I went to ChatGPT to see if I could find a quantifiable way to explain just how much water 117 million gallons is, right? Because that's, you tell somebody, big numbers gets lost in people, right?
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean, you're not great with numbers.
That's very true.
If I get to 15 or 16, probably,
no, fair.
Okay. So now I'll read you these comparisons and then ask yourself, okay, would that have had an effect? And think about it as to maybe how many houses it would have put out. 117 million gallons. How many Olympic-sized swimming pools is that? That's 177 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Wow, that's a lot.
Now, even if each swimming pool could put out a fire to protect one house, might have 177 homes saved, right? I don't think that's unreasonable. Daily water use in a city. That's 117 million gallons is enough water for a city of 1.4 million people for one day. Imagine that. 1.4 million people. About a third of the city of Los Angeles. You think that would have put out a few homes? Water tanker trucks. Now, I like this one, right? Now, you could visualize this, right? 117 million gallons is enough for 19,500 tanker trunks full of water.
What?
19,500. Now, if we had a line of 19,500 water trucks leading to the Pacific Palisades, do you think some of those trucks would have put out a few homes?
100%, more than a few homes.
Right. All right. Look at it another way. If we had 19,500 tanker trucks, it would have been a line 148 miles long. Eric, look up. What's 148 miles from Los Angeles? And I'm doing this to show you that the Newsom administration and the Department of Water and Power is simply full of steaming horse crap. You telling me a line of 148 miles of tanker trucks would have no effect on the fire? 148 miles.
You want to know how far 148 miles south of Los Angeles is?
Yeah.
Ensenada, Mexico.
Okay. Now visualize that on the 405. Imagine 148 miles of traffic leading you all the way into Ensenada, Mexico. And probably most days we have a traffic jam that's close to 148 miles. I mean, it's all tanks full of water. No effect on the Palisades Fire? Really? Tanker trucks from here to Ensenada. All right. How about a football field analogy? A U.S. football field is 57,600 square feet. So 117 million gallons is enough to cover an NFL field with 271 feet of water, almost as tall as a 25-story building. That includes end zones. Bathtubs. bathtubs, 80
Yeah.
gallons.
Yeah.
1.5 million full bathtubs. 1.5 million. Buckets. Bet you a lot of people are throwing buckets of water on the fire, on their home, trying to beat back the flames. 5-gallon buckets. How much would you get out of 117 million gallons? 23.5 million buckets. Would that have helped?
Maybe a little.
So what you have here, and there's a lot of agencies that were a part of this bogus, ridiculous, garbage study that they did, this investigation. And, somebody tell all this to Ellen Cheng, the spokeshole for the LADWP.
Well, is anybody challenging this report? I mean, you are.
I am. No, we're doing everything by ourselves here. Seriously.
I mean, because what you're saying, hopefully somebody else is going to be picking up on this, what you're saying, and rolling with this, because this is insane.
It is inconceivable that if you took 117 million gallons out of the water system, and they're saying, well, the water system isn't designed to handle such, this much water. I know for a fact, live witnesses, people I know who said the problem was there was hundreds of fire hydrants that were broken. There was no water coming out because they tried to give this complicated explanation. Well, you wouldn't have the water pressure. And they're also sticking to this lie that the reservoir had to be closed to repair the tear in its cover. Now, the reservoir was built in 1964 strictly for fire purposes. You had that terrible Bel Air fire of 1961. Go look it up. It's in the LA Times. In fact, they did a retrospective article on it this year. 61 Bel Air fire, burned hundreds of homes. 64, they built the reservoir. It was specifically, and you go back to the LA Times story of 1964, specifically to deal with a fire. They claim, well, we had to change the cover, because regulations, it was harm the water supply. They never needed it for the water supply. And you know what the proof of that is? The reservoir was closed for a year. Do you remember? You remember any emergencies where people in the Palisades didn't have water? They couldn't shower. They couldn't fill their pools. They had nothing to drink. No. There was no water shortage in the Palisades for the year that the reservoir was closed. None. It's a total lie. Lie number one on this issue is the reservoir was built for fire protection. Number two, it's not needed for drinking water. Otherwise, the Palisades would have been out of drinking water that whole year. Number three, even if it had to be fixed, it only took a month, and it only cost $140,000. And the depth of the lies and the
cover-up
and the cover-up is incredible. Ellen Cheng again, spokeshole for LADWP. The report confirms that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was offline to make necessary repairs. False. And the issues with water pressure during the fire response was due to the extraordinary demand on the system, not the inadequate water supply. So let me guess, 117 million gallons going through the system would not increase the water pressure? I imagine she typed out this statement because if she said it live, would anybody contradict this nonsense? They keep using the phrase extraordinary demands. And here's an idea. How about building a water system that can handle wildfires? Have we had enough of them? Why isn't our tax money being used to build a modern age water system to handle wildfires?
Because our tax money is being used for other more important things.
Yeah, like 70,000 homeless people. What could we buy with all the money we've spent on the people who lay in the streets, whacked out on meth and crack and fentanyl, leaving their bodily waste all over the place, terrorizing people? If we didn't spend the billions and billions of dollars on that 70,000, what could we do to protect the lives and property of the tens of thousands of people in the Palisades. I just. We are going to keep at this, though.
Yes.